I'd say, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd say the Catholic Church probably has
The most.
yeah, but you know, it's very funny, Milano, because you know I'm an openly gay person, and I was elected to office. It didn't matter.
To them. Exactly.
So, like, does the hierarchy really have influence on the membership? Even if you look at the contraception issue, you know, 98% of Catholic women use contraceptives.
Yeah.
So what does it really mean? You know, I think people have an emotion. Like my mother goes to mass every week. She has an emotional attachment. Irish Catholic. This is what you are. You know, and I saw Jesus Christ Superstar yesterday. You know, Palm Sunday. You know, my mother was blessing herself. Glory be to God. And you know, it was like so I still identify that way as a Catholic, but because of the rejection of LGBT people from the Catholic Church, I don't participate, you know, any longer because I'm tired of hitting my head against the wall with them, you know. So, but that being said, I have been very strong and very outspoken on the rights of religions, and in particular Muslims, because one of the problems that I see today is that you know Muslims are being very much discriminated against.
Here in Jackson.
Well, not just in Jackson Heights. I think nationally, and a lot of people
NYPD.
blame them. Exactly. So I've spoken out on the NYPD surveillance program. These are things that are very important. We held a news conference here where I held up a sign and said, "I'm Muslim too," just to identify. You know, not meaning that I'm Muslim, but that I was trying to identify with the Muslim community as a community that has been discriminated against. You know, and I know what discrimination is like because I faced it in my own life. So in that way, I relate to the religions in the community. I'm going to name a street up on 93rd Street and 35th Avenue,
Okay.
Sister Mary Patrick McCarthy Way. So, you know, I work with the churches that way, but I don't really think that they're like politically active, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that they're really politically active. Some districts, like they have more evangelical churches that are very conservative, and they tend to be a little bit more politically active. So, but for the most part, I don't really see that here.
Really?
Yes, that has affected our Muslim community here. There's an organization called Dromm. It meets on 72nd
Your name?
Street.
Your last name?
No, DRUM.
Oh, okay.
It's Desi's Rising Up and Moving, DRUM.
Oh.
But I get asked that question every time I go there. Drum, Mr. Drum. They're totally confused, you know. So they have been in the forefront of the battle
I think there was
for
an
Muslim
article
rights.
about that.
And also about students' rights with school safety agents, etc. And the number of disciplines problems and stuff that go on in school and the severity of the discipline code and stuff like that. They're a very progressive group of people. So I've been working very closely with them on both of those issues.
Okay. Where are they located?
Drum,
Uh-huh.
72nd and Rosie, but I don't know the exact address, 7206 or something like that. They have a little sign on the door, but it's on the other side of Roosevelt, not this side, the other side of Roosevelt. Same, we have
undocumented?
Yeah, we have a lot of undocumented. In my office, probably the top two constituent issues in my office are housing and immigration status and undocumented people who come in and want help.
Okay.
So I have an immigration attorney on staff, and he's here full time. He does a lot of work with them. Plus, I have a second attorney who deals with just constituent issues, whether it's housing, rent issues, or whatever. She helps with that. Plus, on Wednesday nights, I have an attorney that comes in for 2 or 3 hours, and we're getting a second attorney. And I've given attorneys to other organizations, to Chaya. Chaya is a South Asian housing rights organization.
Okay.
And they're going to have somebody that's there through my office. We give funding, and then the attorneys go there and they give advice on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night or something like that. So those are the big issues. Yeah, I mean, in this community, definitely immigration is way up there.
Alright.
I sponsored 2 pieces of legislation,
Oh yeah?
and or I should say passed 2 pieces of legislation. The first one was for undocumented kids who are in the who are in foster care. They're eligible for special immigrant juvenile status. We found out that the Administration for Children's Services was not completing the paperwork, and I wrote a law which forced the Administration for Children's Services to do the paperwork for these kids. So now these kids get set on a path to citizenship.
Oh.
So more than 400 kids so far over the last year have been getting this status, which is like gold.
Great, yeah.
You know. And then the other piece of legislation goes along with the surveillance, it goes along with the NYPD, is we, especially here on Roosevelt Avenue, had a lot of people who were being arrested for minor things, quality of life things, urinating in the street, public drunkenness, or whatever, find themselves on Rikers Island. Once they get to Rikers Island, they have ICE agents, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents there. ICE was allowed to interview them. Now, a lot of these guys and gals, they don't know, they have a right not to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they would find out that they were here undocumented. Once they found out they were here undocumented, they would put a detainer on them. And then, once the trial was finished here, would send them down to Texas or to Philadelphia to a detainee camp, where they would be held or deported. I had a kid who came in here, 18 years old, a student at LaGuardia Community College, Mexican kid whose parents brought him here when he was 4 years old, through no fault of his own. Exactly. Was arrested for manslaughter, serious charge, but within 2 months they realized they had the wrong guy. They let him go, but because he spoke to ICE while he was on Rikers, they sent him to Texas, where he stayed for 2 years without any contact with his family. Very little contact. They didn't really know what happened to him. So my law now says that if you are found innocent, or the charges are dropped, or it's a minor marijuana violation, we will no longer hold you for ICE to come and get you. So we feel we probably helped about 1,500 people. The law just went into effect. So we estimate that it will be about 1,500 people that will be helped with this.
Is that
new
just
law.
in Queens or
That's right here.
Just
Well, that's citywide, I should say.
citywide?
But a lot of it is off of Roosevelt Avenue.
Of course.
I've had people in Roosevelt Avenue who are afraid to jaywalk because if a cop sees them, the story is you're going to get arrested and go to Rikers, and it leads to bad relations with the police department, because if the police department wants to really adequately police a community and enforce laws, they need to have relationships with the people who live there. And if people are afraid to speak to the police, they're not going to tell them anything. Domestic violence cases are a prime example of it. So like if a woman is getting beaten by her husband or whatever, she's not going to go to the police if she thinks she's going to wind up being deported.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what this law was aimed at doing, was trying to fix that relationship with the police department.